Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula iRacing League. It's Season 9, Round 4, and we are out on track at the Red Bull Ring, the Austrian Grand Prix, as we get ready to send these drivers out for the first sprint race of the night. As always, I'm your host, James East, with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Breathe the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as it looks like drivers are getting gridded up here. Starting on pole, Jaden Calloway, the defending champ, the number 1. AJ Brenner starting 2nd. We got Ray Aguilar starting 3rd. Nick Beaver starting 4th. Nick Peterson starting 5th off his recent win. Michael Fairchild starting 6th. Alex Rhodes starts 7th. Christian Gritzko starting 8th. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Aussie, starting 9th. Julian Medor starting 10th. Antonio Bianchi starting 11th. Leo Dalmas starting 12th. We've got Shazi Zuhair starting 13th. Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, starting 14th. Andrew Neri starting 15th. Craig Brick starting 16th. Adam Plunkett starting 17th. Jacob Bramley starts 18th. Felipe Ramos starting 19th. Peter Rettinger starting 20th. Zachary Bowman starting 21st. Dustin Oberlo starting 22nd. Matt Foster starts 23rd. Julius Cervone starting 24th. Cycling it back one final time. David Iezzi starting 25th. Arturo Mayorga starting 26th. Eric Guillory starting 27th. Joe Albanese in the 28th spot. Ryan Tebow serving a quality band will be starting 29th. Chase Small starting 30th. And Jace Meyer will round out the 31-car grid here today. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on, as these drivers get ready to start things off here. Now, last time we were at Red Bull Ring, it was a whole lot of fireworks for the drivers. Hopefully things are going to be a little bit calmer this time. Some of the fans will remember last season, the first Red Bull Ring we had in these Super Formula machines was a bit of a tough one. Now, it looks like 3 drivers starting from pit road. Felipe Ramos, Matt Foster, Adam Plunkett. As we are underway here, and it's going to be a very busy turn 1. Something has happened to Craig Brick and Joe Albanese off the start, and it's going to be carnage through turn 1. So let's get the replay ready to go here and see where tragedy struck in the opening lap. Red Bull Ring rearing its head once more. Now, we had a couple of different incidents, I believe. Craig Brick and Joe Albanese had problems off the line. And Brick just did not get going. And once he did, looped it out. And the other incident was into turn 1. That's going to involve Gritzko, Peterson, Neri, Rhodes, Iezzi, Oberlo, all stacking it up into turn 1. And we're going to whittle the field down very, very quickly. Now in the spectator area, we've got Elle joining us, Nicholas Trollman. We've got Winnie here as well. Julius Cervone getting a lot of love from the fans, as well as Nick Beaver. And I think we've got more incidents. They are dropping like flies here. So something is not meshing well, as it looks like that's going to be Shazi Zuhair, Antonio Bianchi. Showing Eric Guillory, Jace Meyer also involved in another incident. I wonder if it's the same incident. I think that was through the final corner. We're focusing on Shazi Zuhair's number 10 machine. Oh, I can't quite tell if Zuhair came in deep there And that's what stacked the field up. Let's take a look. Yeah, looks like Zuhair just comes in a little bit deep. And then the rest of the field's going to be involved in the incident trying to check up. And it is going to be a small field by the end of this, I think. We've already put 8 or 9 drivers back down pit road. And oh no, Julia Cervone, who is getting so much love from the fans, showed with an off track. Another driver off track, Julian Mador, involved in an incident here. Now Jaden Calloway running up front, AJ Brenner showing second, Ray Aguilar in third. Now this is the sprint race, 16 laps, so our feature will have 32 in the mandatory tire stop. No pit stops required here for the sprint as we watch Aguilar take a lunge at Brenner. Not quite able to make that pass stick. Here we go once more. Aguilar seems to make the pass for second happen, but he's 1.5 seconds back from race leader Jaden Calloway. Also looks like now Brenner has AJ Beaver tucked in behind him. Beaver running very well in qualifying. Historically, practice and usually it's just qualifying the first time Beaver turns a lap at a certain track with a certain car in preparation for a league race. But he's going to put the hammer down, see if he can work his way up into a podium spot here. Aguilar in second. Sets the fastest lap of the race on 1:13.53. Just about a full half second faster than anybody else has been able to do here at the Red Bull Ring circuit. And still great racing across the track. We go back to 8th. Peter Redger trying to fend off Gareth McAllister and Jacob Bramley. Looks like Bramley trying to get set up for a pass against McAllister here. Not quite able to make it stick. Now drivers do have the push to pass available in the sprint as well as the feature. So occasionally you'll see the halo above the driver's helmet flashing green, signifying they're on the magic button. Bramley, the bright yellow number 6 machine. Calloway had the fastest lap of the race, but it was immediately answered by AJ Brenner, getting down to a 1:13.09. So the pace starting to increase as the tires come in. Now it's one set of tires for this sprint race for the feature. Drivers do have that mandatory tire stop. That's where we've seen in weeks prior a lot of different strategies start to develop. Some drivers coming down pit road early on, some wait until late in the race, as it looked like Bramley overcooks on the brakes there. And McAllister is catching up to the back of Rettinger's number 44 machine. Also looks like Rettinger catching up to Xavier Zanabe, the Flying Frenchman, running 7th. Xavier running well. He's up 7 spots. Rettinger up 12. Hard Charger out on track, though. Ryan Tebow, number 27, wasn't able to qualify, but has picked up 18 spots so far in this sprint. And there we go. Calloway, the first driver into the 1:12, a clean 1:12.92. Aguilar clicked off a 1:12.98 that lap, but he did have at least one off track, which invalidates the fastest laps of the race. There's Zanabe, the number 26. He's got Rettinger about a half second off of his gearbox. Another good battle we have going on. Matt Foster versus Mayorga, the battle for 16. Foster's up 7 spots. Mayorga having a great race. He's up 9 in the number 55. But now Julian Mador trying to crawl back up at the 78. Makes his way around Mayorga. Now coming into today's sprint race, talking to some of the drivers, they're saying the car was very loose and free underneath them, which would explain why we've had so many big moments out here today. Jaden Calloway still your race leader, a 1.2 second margin over Aguilar. Brenner sitting in third. Beaver and Delmas round out the top 5. Looks like Rettinger and McAllister are here to race. McAllister on the button in that number 25 machine takes the spot away from the Austrian Peter Rettinger. McAllister feeling good coming into tonight. Apparently it's National Australian Day, or International Australian Day I should say, so McAllister took time from his party schedule this week to get back out on track. Behind Rettinger and McAllister, Bramley had another off-track excursion, the number 6, so he's going to lose a little bit more time, and apparently something has happened to Michael Fairchild. He finds himself parked in a precarious position as he drops down the standings. Let's see what happened to Fairchild. Little bit loose and slides it around. Thankfully he was able to keep it off the wall there, and now waits for a safe spot to rejoin. Fairchild has fallen all the way back to 15. Here comes Matt Foster trying to take advantage of that misfortune of the 88. Foster's looking to grab his 8th spot of the night. Oh, and there's Jacob Bramley going to take a tow back to pit road. Looks like it's going to be, I think, a turn 1 incident here. Little bit too much curbing, snaps loose. And pulverizing that number 6 machine. So very quickly, we have whittled it down. 21 drivers out on track, losing 10 drivers very early on in the sprint. Now, just because a driver takes a tow and is out of this sprint race and not able to rejoin, they are able to come back out on track for the feature event. So some drivers will be back behind the wall, kind of watching this race from the sidelines. Aguilar's on the button, trying to close the distance that Calloway has. Well, looks like that push to pass worth a couple of tenths here. Red Bull Ring, one of those circuits that kind of can throw off your momentum rather quickly. Aguilar's pulled that distance within about 6.5 tenths to Calloway. Both drivers still have push to pass available. Are we going to have a race for the lead start to shape up here is the question. Within 6 tenths between Calloway and Aguilar. Aguilar definitely has some steam. I'm looking forward to see what the lap times update to on this one as they make their way on the start-finish line. Did Aguilar catch the draft of Calloway? Calloway a 113.01. Aguilar a half a second faster here, a 112.5. A half second separating these two. Calloway still has push to pass available. Wondering if we're going to see Calloway hit the button. if Aguilar starts to get a little bit too close here. And we have another battle. Oh, a big blink there from Zanave. Or is that from McAllister? I can't quite tell. It looked like a blink from Zanave, I think, but McAllister, that's going to be his 3rd spot gain. So now Zanave is going to have his hands full with Peter Redger. We have another crash report, though. It's going to be Julius Servone piloting the number 18 machine. So it looks like it's going to be a final quarter incident. Oh, mindful of the wall there. Waiting to rejoin the circuit. Let's see what happened to Servone. Was there a little bit of help there? Is it going to be a solo incident? Looks like just losing the back end. Thankfully, no collision there. And Servone's going to drop all the way back to 18th. And unfortunately, the fans very bummed to see Servone involved in that incident, as that number 18 machine dropped all the way down to 18. Servone still up 6 positions from that original qualifying spot, but it's going to be an uphill battle, and the sprint result's so important because that's going to set where you start for the feature event. As we focus on the battle for the lead here, Aguilar versus Callaway. There's been fireworks between these two all season long. Now, is Aguilar close enough in the draft here of Callaway? If Callaway uses the push to pass, Aguilar might be able to stay in the draft down the start-finish line, but both drivers are recharging on push to pass. Coming into tonight, Aguilar was the points leader. As Callaway gets some more time back to his advantage, you see smoke everywhere at the Red Bull ring. Oh, who was that off track? That was a risky spot right in the impact zone out of the final corner. So coming into tonight, it was Aguilar, Beaver, and Peterson, your top 3 in points. Bianchi and Callaway making up the top 5. Callaway's had a rough go this season. And he's not going to get a break as Aguilar keeps up the pressure. Aguilar really losing a lot of ground there in that corner. I'm excited to see. I mean, if this is indicative of what's going to happen in the feature event, we've got a great night ahead of us here in Austria. As the last few laps, Callaway and Aguilar have kept it within a half second between themselves for a majority of the circuit. Just a couple laps left to try and make something happen. Aguilar's in a good spot here, studying what Callaway is doing, but keep an eye out on this next right-hander. This is where Aguilar has been losing a fair amount of time against Callaway. It's a very much slow in, fast out corner. I mean, that's a great example. Callaway pulls almost 2 or 3 tenths there over Ray Aguilar. Such an important part of the track. It's going to be just 2 laps left to go. As we're on board Ray Aguilar, making their way around the final sections here at Red Bull Ring, the back quarter of the racetrack. Love this onboard. Shows you just how quickly the track is going by for these drivers. And how they are on the ragged edge. Drivers hitting speeds in excess of 180 miles an hour out here in the Red Bull Ring. David Iezzi down pit road, the number 29. Nick Beaver, though, sets the fastest lap of the race as he's in fourth. Beaver, one of those drivers, gets progressively faster as the night goes on. So even though Beaver might miss out on a podium in the sprint, he's going to be having a good starting position for the feature event. White flag will be out this time by for Jaden Calloway. Looks like, oh no, that's what it is. Calloway's on the button here. I thought Aguilar might have backed off a little bit, but Calloway, I think, is about to put down a very fast lap time as he's built that lead back up to a second. Now he has a little bit of lap traffic ahead, and that is going to be Julius Cervone hopping out of the way of the race leaders, going down a lap, seeing the blue flag and not wanting to interject in the battle for the lead. Let's see what this lap time is as the white flag comes out. A 1:11.99. Calloway is moving in that number 1 machine. The first driver to dip below a 1:12 lap time. So Calloway, that last lap, he's going to make it happen in style. I think he's still on the push to pass as well. He is. Let's see, does he improve on a 1:11.99? That is such an incredibly fast lap time here at the Red Bull Ring. Aguilar still within a second of the race leader. So these two drivers, first and second, very much equal on pace. As we make our way around the final corner here, Red Bull Ring to cap off the sprint race. Jaden Calloway back in action, brings home a win. Aguilar finishes second, and AJ Brenner will round out the top 3. We're going to try and get these drivers up here to victory lane. And then we will cap things off, a brief podium interview, and then we'll get our drivers right back out on track for the feature event. We've got Calloway, we've got Aguilar, now we're waiting on AJ Brenner, the number 80 machine. And it looks like we've got everybody here. So let's start things off. AJ Brenner, join us. Welcome back, AJ. It's been too long since we have you up here in the top 3, but man, able to avoid a lot of carnage that other drivers weren't here in Austria.
Yeah, I started out near the front and got a little bit of space, and unfortunately got a little off-track penalty, so I ended up backing into Ray again. But just stuck with third, and it was a good race.
Now it seems everybody inside the top 3, the top 5, extremely close on pacing out on track. Do you think this is going to be one of the strategy races where who can get the clean track earliest?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be a lot of undercuts in this one. We'll see what happens in the race, but it's gonna be a tight one for sure.
And AJ, speaking of tight, we heard the cars are very loose, very free coming out to tonight. Is there any improvement over the duration of the run, or are you guys fighting the car from start to finish?
No, it feels real slick. I mean, you're trying to toss the car around mid-corners to save it in the first couple laps. I mean, late race it gets a little bit better, but it's definitely a struggle compared to like an open setup.
Well, we look forward to seeing how that one gets ready to go. Now, AJ, before I let you go, get ready for the feature. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped you bring you back up into the podium with the top 3 in the sprint?
I was going to give a shout out to Squid Gang Racing.
Pretty good guys over there. AJ, always a pleasure, and best of luck in the feature, man.
Thank you.
That was AJ Brenner bringing it home in third. Up next, my old friend Ray Aguilar joining us in second. Ray, a great race. You and Callaway right there with each other and looked almost identical as far as lap times that you're able to click off.
Yeah, that's all I can hope for on this track. It's not my favorite, and so for me to come home with the second, get some points, I'm as happy as a clam.
Now, Ray, after seeing that sprint result, do you think we're going to see a safety car in the feature out here tonight?
I would imagine so. Seems like people can't get through this first section. So when you first start, at least on this track, the car is slimy and sliding all over the place, and so I imagine that's going to add to the problems going on in the feature for sure.
It's going to be interesting to see how that one works. Now, Ray, it seemed like there was one corner in particular that you were kind of fighting with over the duration of the run. Is there any notes you kind of took from that one on how to improve?
No, I don't really know what to do through there. I can get up next. Are you talking about turn 2 or?
Yes, exactly. The uphill off camber right-hander.
Yeah, I don't know what to do through there other than try to hang it around the outside, but the car doesn't have enough grip to do it. So, I've had one of my best races ever was against Nick Beaver, who's crazy quick, and we raced here in F3, and I passed him in that corner, but that was on the inside. So I think that's the only thing is like trying to get the inside and keep it from getting covered off initially, not crashing.
Yeah, I remember that season's past, the F3 and the Super Formula. That was such a tough corner for everybody to figure out. So looking forward to seeing how that one plays out. And after following Callaway around for a few laps, do you think that kind of helped you out and made you a little bit more prepared for the feature?
Yeah, I think I saw his smoothness through there. Jaden's so fast, and so I saw how smooth he was through some of those sections, and I just toned it down a notch. Next thing I know, I was hanging with him. So yeah, it was a great lesson. I need to have him train me more often. He's awesome.
He's a pretty okay guy, but Ray, a great race, a good result. Came into tonight with a points lead. That sprint result definitely going to help with it. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped you bring home second before I let you get ready for this feature?
I want to thank my buddy Charlie Z for helping me out, number 89. I want to thank my teammate for actually trying to put in some time this week. I think he crashed out in the sprint, though. I haven't done the debrief yet. And that's pretty much it. Shout out to my buddy Tom's mom who just got through chemo treatment. That was a big deal. We all love that. That's it.
Well, good news all the way around. Ray, congratulations again, man, and best of luck in the feature.
Thanks so much, James.
That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second, but back up on top. Welcome back, Jaden Callaway. Jaden, I know it's been a series of rough races for you, but, man, how good does it feel to kind of shake that off and get another win under your belt?
Yeah, it feels awesome. The last couple races haven't gone the way I wanted them to, but I just kept my head in it, and luckily I managed to get a good result this race.
Yeah, smooth is fast, fast is smooth, and you looked great. The first driver to dip into the 111s tonight, blistering fast on that second to final lap. What was the secret there? I mean, it looks like you just kind of pulled out the stops, and I mean, it was crazy fast lap time.
Yeah, I had a bunch of push to pass saved up the entire race, and I managed to have enough so that I could finish the final 2 laps with it on, and I got a big boost from that.
Yeah, I mean, it was over, I think, almost 6/10 you gained on Ray in those last couple laps, and Jane, it looked like you guys were extremely close on pace throughout the run. What do you think is going to happen here in the future when you have so many guys running effectively the same lap times?
I think it's going to be a close race, so I think I got the edge on Ray just a little bit, but we'll see. But I know it's going to be a fun race.
It's going to be a blast. I know you guys had fun out on track. I had a great time calling it. Now, Jaden, I guess the final question is, what's the strategy going to be going into this feature event? Are we planning for a safety car? Are we going to try and minimize time on cold tires? Or is it a wait-and-see type situation?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there was a big crash at the start of this last race, so I'm not ruling out a safety car, but I think we're just going to have to play it by ear.
Awesome. Jane, always a pleasure. Super cool to have you shake off the bad luck that played the last couple of races, getting another win under your belt. And before I let you go, get ready for the feature. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this win possible for you?
Yeah, as always, my friends and family watching and supporting, my team, Squid Gang Racing, and my teammates, AJ and Fabian.
Awesome. Jaden, always a pleasure, buddy. Best of luck in the feature, and glad to have you back, man.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
That was Jaden Callaway bringing it home in the top spot of the sprint race. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more League Zero action for the feature event here at the Red Bull Ring. All right, race fans, welcome back. It's time for the feature event here at the Red Bull Ring, the Austrian Grand Prix, Round 4, Season 9. Now, drivers getting gridded up, and the grid will be set by the finishing result in the sprint. We had 31 drivers join us tonight. I'll be curious to see how many we have by the time it's all said and done, because that opening sprint race was a rough one for driver attrition. Those top spots, it's going to be Callaway, Aguilar, Brenner, Beaver, Delmas, on this initial start. 32 laps or 45 minutes, whatever comes first. Now I'm curious to see how many of those drivers that crashed out of the sprint have packed it up and went home early here. Love looking at the country flags, the right side of the live timing tower. Seeing where all the drivers are from across the world. Join us every Thursday night for League Zero, the premier Formula iRacing League. Waiting on quite a handful of drivers to take the grid. Tebow getting some love from the fans. Tebow was not eligible to qualify tonight, serving a penalty, but with his feature event spot being set by the sprint, Tebow started in a very good 8th place in that number 27. So hopefully we'll see some things happening for the young Canadian driver. The grid is set. Where is Tebow? Tebow's going to start from pit road. We were just getting excited there. But here we go. Aguilar with a quick launch over Callaway has finally figured out the launch procedure. Looks like turn 1 is going to be clear for these drivers, as Callaway is going to challenge Aguilar for the lead here. Through the right-hander, Callaway comes out on top. That's the corner out that Aguilar was struggling with in the sprint. So Aguilar is going to be back to second here. And look who has joined Callaway's teammate AJ Brenner right off the gearbox of Aguilar. We might have a 3-car battle for the lead going on here, and maybe make it a 4 as Nick Beaver's joining the fray. Now Ryan Tebow did start the race, but started from pit road. A odd decision for Tebow. He was gonna start 8th. Now way down the standings in 24th. Oh, and we just saw somebody absolutely get pulverized there in the final corner. Redinger able to hop out of the way. Thankfully, nobody else involved, and I think I just saw some 3-wide action there. With Bramley, Mayorga, Rhodes, Tebow, Brick all in the mix. This is a 5-car battle for 19th place back. Now Redinger did take a tow back to pit road, so he's done it out of this one. I'm trying to see, that was Fairchild and Small intertwined there. Both drivers are going to take a tow to pit road, I believe. A very odd crash there. Adam Plunkett involved in an incident, backs out of the track as quickly as possible. Now, I've got to say, I'm surprised there wasn't a huge lap 1, turn 1 incident. I would have expected a little bit of carnage there in the first couple of corners. Wondering if drivers maybe a little bit gun shy after that sprint race. And it backed out of it a little bit. On board with Nick Beaver running 4th in number 87 machine. He is watching Brenner and Aguilar battling for 2nd. Callaway holding on to the race lead here. Look how quickly Beaver closes the gap. And man, Callaway's got that corner figured out. Huge ground mate every time he exits that portion of the racetrack. Aguilar keeping the pressure on Callaway here. Brenner right in tow as well, and I think it's fair to say that Beaver has joined the top pack. You can also see Leo Delmas hanging back in 5th. Let's go back as well. Julian Medor trying to fend off Zachary Bowman, Nick Peterson. That's going to be a 3-car battle for 10th. As was that Medor that got a little bit loose there, losing the spot to Bowman and Peterson. What a great race. Good action all across the track. And there's a freight train of talent here in the top 4. It's Callaway, Aguilar, Brenner, and Beaver. Looks like behind them, that's Leo Delmas and Gareth McAllister linked up 5th and 6th. Our Charger out on track right now. Nick Peterson, the number 24. He's up 17 spots. And charging towards the front, Peterson, after years, just had his first League Zero victory. And definitely has the momentum built up behind that number 24 machine. Callaway and Aguilar have broken away slightly from Brenner. Brenner still holding a half-second advantage over Beaver, who sits in 4th. So watch through turn 2 here, how quickly Callaway is able to get through this tricky uphill off-camber right-hander. Let's see, it's about a 1/4 of a second leading into it that he has over Aguilar. I think Aguilar might have learned a thing or two. Able to stay there with Callaway, and he's actually gaining a little bit of ground here, so something has boded well for Aguilar being in 2nd place for so long. He's been able to study Callaway's lines. And now a corner that was definitely a massive hindrance in the sprint, now starting to play well to Aguilar's favor here. Everybody inside this top 4 so equally matched on pace. Callaway and Aguilar linked up nose to tail. They've got about 4/10 over Brenner and Beaver, 3rd and 4th, who are also linked up. Oh, a huge snap loose for Aguilar. I don't know how Aguilar was able to hold on to it there through the final corner. And he's going to fall back to 4th. Let's get a replay queued up of that one. A massive moment for the pilot of the number 72 machine. So watch, he's 2nd in line here. It's going to be through the final corner. That car was violently trying to throw him off track. I have no idea how Aguilar was able to save it. Get it pointed straight and hold on to it. So Aguilar is going to fall back to 4th. That's going to put Brenner and Beaver up into 2nd and 3rd. Callaway still your race leader. Now let's see, does Aguilar dial it back a little bit, get things under control? Is the red mist going to overcome that 72 machine? Beaver trying to fend off the current points leader of Aguilar. And looks like Aguilar was able to get through there. So Aguilar has an uphill battle now to try and catch Callaway and Brenner, the 2 teammates linked up front. Now we had another crash report. This time Julian Medor and Julia Cervone. Not sure if they were tied up together or not. So there goes Medor, spins it around. And showed Cervone involved in the crash, but that was just under heavy braking, triggering the broadcast software. Christian Gritzko, the number 91 machine, is up 10 spots just inside the top 10, running 9th. He's got Nick Peterson behind that number 24, who's been slowly and steadily charging up front, and it looks like Gritzko closing the gap up here to Xavier Zanave. We've had about the amount of solo incidents I was expecting tonight, but thankfully none of the huge incidents in this feature event that plagued races in the past at Red Bull Ring. Aguilar gets down to a 113 flat, trying to close that distance to Callaway and Brenner, but Callaway and Brenner running first and second. That is a tough pair to try and get around. Now I'm curious to see if that top five is going to get shaken up much more. Leo Delmas has had McAllister behind him the duration of the race here, but McAllister has not been able to make a move in the number 25 machine. Delmas recharging the push to pass. McAllister still has it available to hit. I'm also interested to see what the tire strategy is going to be. I was expecting more drivers to come down pit road than I've seen so far. Looks like we have 25 drivers still on the lead lap here. Also looks like AJ Brenner catching up to his teammate Callaway, who's leading here at Red Bull Ring. Now, I don't think Brenner is going to try and make a pass. I think he's going to kind of play it safe. But let's go a little bit further back. Rousey panned away. McAllister and Delma side by side here. McAllister on the push to pass to help make that pass happen. Delmas does not answer with the button. We can also see Antonio Bianchi, Xavier Zanave not too far behind these two drivers battling for fifth. Gritzko and Peterson side by side for ninth. We had another crash report. This time it's Joe Albanese taking a tow back to pit road. Let's see what happened to Albanese at number 47. Joe's having a rough race here at Red Bull Ring, and as we've seen and heard from other drivers, these cars are an absolute handful. And unfortunately, Albanese just pushes wide there and lawn darts himself into the safety barrier, ending his night here in Austria. I'm a little bit afraid to see what livery Gritzko is running here. Looks like maybe an anime back number 91 machine. Peterson, a big sin on the brakes, a little bit of a lockup there, but Gritzko saw it coming, stays wide to avoid possible impact, and that is going to be Peterson's 18th position gained here tonight. Oh, more problems. That time it's Xavier Zanave and Leo Delmas involved. No, was that Antonio Bianchi and Delmas involved? Let's see, let's focus in on Bianchi. As we've got a pit road update, Bianchi a little bit out of sorts, tags the back of Delmas. And they both go off track. Now AJ Brenner came down pit road. Now Delmas in that incident showed his wing missing. Thankfully, it might have magically popped back on, so the iRacing gods smiling in the favor of Leo Delmas. Chase Small unfortunately joined us from the spectator area as he spent about 11 minutes in his pit. The pit cycles are underway. AJ Brenner, Leo Delmas, Antonio Bianchi all coming down pit road now. We're fairly confident Delmas and Bianchi was due to damage as Brenner goes for the undercut. Looking for some clean track. I wonder if we're going to see a battle here between Brenner and Callaway once the pit stops are over with. Jacob Bramley making a pass on Alex Rhodes. And there's AJ Brenner coming out on track with fresh tires, that number 80 machine. So a large portion of the field yet to box. As I say that, Callaway comes down pit road. Aguilar is going to stay out. Beaver is going to follow suit. As we see some drivers rolling out on track, that's Leo Dalmas, who's going to try and stay on the lead lap here. Aguilar making quick work of traffic. Now something that's happened to Beaver is he's fallen back slightly. Now 1.8 seconds off the back of Aguilar. Aguilar hammering down with a push to pass. He's got relatively clean track, wants to build up an advantage. He has got to beat a 7-second flat pit stop time to gain ground on Callaway. AJ Brenner was in and out of his pit stall 6.7 seconds. Unfortunately, another incident. This time it's Mayorga involved in an incident that's going to result in a tow. What happened there? Was there netcode involved in that one? Trying to get another angle. Mayorga might have gotten some help there from the 42. Definitely looked like a little bit of rubbing there. Mayorga is going to get launched off the circuit. I'm sure the stewards will take a look, but I'm not sure why Mayorga towed. Oh no, the gearbox might be shot. Look at the back left, wasn't spinning at all. That was Dustin Oberlo involved in the incident with Mayorga. Beaver's down pit road, in and out of his pit stall, 7 seconds flat. Aguilar last time by clicked off the fastest lap of the race. Opts to stay out even longer here. So that's going to put McAllister up into second, Zanave up into third based on pit strategy currently. How long is Aguilar going to stretch this run out for? He's gaining ground the rest of the field, so I'd imagine he'll stay out as long as possible, trying to get that tank as close to empty. And keep an eye out on McAllister in second as well. We've seen him do some pretty spectacular things with fuel saving in the past. As I say that, McAllister negates everything I just said. It comes down pit road, the number 25. We have another incident reported. This time it's Jace Meyer. Looks like it may be a solo incident for that number 20 machine. It's going to be in turn 2, the right-hander. And just spins it around, almost gets tagged. Thankfully, no impact there. Now, this is going to be interesting as well. After this pit stop, drivers are going to be coming back out on track with cold tires. We've seen how free and loose the cars are. I wonder if that's going to be worse when they come out on the fresh tires. And maybe that's why we're seeing several drivers stay out as long as they possibly can. Maybe going to try and minimize the time on those tires late in the race. So a spattering, about a half dozen drivers came down pit road around that lap 10 or 11 mark. Historically, we've seen a lot of drivers also pit at the halfway mark. That'll be lap 16. But I'm curious to see, does anybody try and stay out until the very end here and pit right before the white flag is out? Christian Gritzko down pit road, as well as Zachary Bowman, the 96. Denave trying to fend off Peterson, number 24. This is the current battle for second, but right now your top 4 drivers have yet to pit. Callaway and Brenner showing 5th and 6th, separated by about 2.5 seconds. This could very much be a race of strategy here at the Red Bull Ring. Peterson still in hot pursuit of the flying Frenchman Zanave. Neither driver has yet to box. I think if Peterson thinks he has pace on Zanave, he'll try and come down pit road before the green and yellow 26. Zanave, Peterson, second and third, stay out even longer. So does Aguilar, the race leader. Aguilar's still putting down lap times faster than Callaway back in fifth. So Aguilar enjoying the clean air on the front of that 72 machine. As let's check back in on Ray Aguilar. We've got 20 drivers on the lead lap here. I think that's Cervone hopping out of the way. Yes, it is. The number 18 machine hops out of the way, sees the blue flag, and does not want to impede Aguilar at all. Now, we've seen Aguilar and Jaden Callaway pick up wins throughout this season, but it's very rare at least this season, 4 rounds in, we've seen them truly get to battle head-to-head on pace and strategy without one or the other driver being involved in some sort of race-ending incident. I'm very curious to see where Aguilar and Callaway are going to be in comparison once the pit cycle is finished. Xavier Zanave, Shazi Zuhair, both down pit road for their one scheduled stop, the mandatory tire stop. Aguilar and Peterson continuing to stay out here. Renner, though, back and forth, just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 112.62, so Brenner feeling good. As Brenner trying to close that gap up to Jaden Callaway. Callaway sitting in third. He is who we think might be closest to Aguilar once the pit cycle is over with. And still racing across the track as Zanave and Grits go side by side for 10th. Zanave with a couple laps newer tires, but Gritzko making it happen on the inside line. The number 91 slides up in front of Zanave. That will be Gritzko's 9th spot gained here. So Gritzko started way back in 19th for this feature event. Didn't have the sprint race result he was looking for. But it looks like things are starting to go well for the Canadian 91 machine. Brenner, again, the fastest lap of the race as he sits in 4th. Brenner came in 1 lap prior than his teammate Callaway on lap 10. And we're trying to see here, is Brenner on the push to pass to help make this happen? No, it looks like it's just going to be a raw talent lap there for Brenner. So feeling very, very good. Now, over the course of this race, 2 things are happening. The fuel loads are constantly decreasing. It is a fixed fuel amount in these Super Formula machines. But we're seeing a bit of a up and down moment with the tire wear. The drivers will get to their fastest around usually 5 to 10 laps in on a fresh set of tires. Then the lap times will plateau and slowly dip down and get a little bit slower. But then at some point through the race, these drivers come back down pit road, grab fresh tires underneath them. And we repeat the cycle all over again. Let's see what Brenner clicks off the update to. A lot slower, about a second slower than his lap prior, which, no, excuse me, about 4 or 5 tenths slower. Greg Brick, Felipe Ramos, Matt Foster, all down pit road. Your top 2, though, Aguilar and Peterson, have yet to come down pit road here. We're going to pull up the pit lap on the left side of your screen. You can see most drivers have have come down pit road. Aguilar, Peterson, I see Jacob Bramley, Julius Cervone, the only drivers yet to come down pit road. And we're waiting to see what the pit road times are going to be. Maybe Aguilar and Peterson are going to save a little bit of time on pit road, but it's going to be tough here to beat Brenner, who is 6.7 seconds in his pit stall. I'm surprised Aguilar and Peterson have waited this long, but they've got some sort of strategy, and I believe they're either teammates or maybe unofficial teammates. Aguilar came into this season with a 32-point advantage over Nick Beaver. Peterson came into tonight in third as well. And speaking of Nick Beaver, haven't mentioned him in a while, but doing a great job sticking right there with AJ Brenner. And what may be the battle for fourth, Brenner knows Beaver has been fast all season, and Beaver's been Mr. Consistency, it seems like, always up in the top 5 and just kind of there at the end of this thing. Now, unfortunately, Julius Servone showed involved in another incident, the number 18. It looks like it may be through the final corner. Loses the rear end, slides it around. Thankfully, no impact with the wall there, nobody else involved. And Eric Guillory involved in some sort of incident. Also showed Bianchi with an off track. Not sure if those two were tied in together or not. Gary loops it there. But thankfully not too bad of a moment, but enough to trigger the broadcast crash report. Christian Grisco was also involved in an incident. Grisco is going to drop back to 10th, losing spots to both Zanave and Zuhair. Nick Peterson's going to finally come down pit road very late in the race. Ray Aguilar says, I paid for the tires. I'm going to use all the tires. I'm thinking Aguilar's going to wait until the very end here before he comes down pit road, but surely Aguilar knows he's losing time. I think he is. Red Bull Ring claims another. Craig Brick takes a tow down pit road. Will retire early from the feature. Loses it in turn 1. Slams the wall. Didn't look like too much damage. But I think Craig Brick realized once he got out on track something was amiss. Maybe not lined up right. And opts to retire the Inca Salsa back number 7 machine. Great salsa, by the way. Not getting paid to say this, but I've got quite a few of their jars at home and always try and support the drivers that support the league. Ray Aguilar is going to come down pit road. So let's see. This is where it's going to get interesting. Where is Callaway going to be in relation to Aguilar once this pit cycle has finished itself up? Aguilar needs to get in and out of his stall in less than 7 seconds. What's it going to be for Aguilar? Oh, a slow pit stop, 7.7 seconds. Callaway's on the push to pass. Aguilar rolling out onto the hot track. And no, Aguilar has binned it on pit road. Aguilar is going to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, falling back to 4th. I can't believe it. Let's see what happened here to Aguilar. It's going to be on pit exit. He knew that Callaway was right behind in the cold tires. Oh, absolutely gutting for Aguilar. I can't believe it. So that's going to put Callaway in the race lead, fairly uncontested. Brenner in 2nd. And Nick Beaver finds himself up into 3rd. Ray Aguilar sitting in 4th, so his night is not totally ruined here. If he can finish strong in 4th, he'll be able to salvage some points and minimize the gain that Callaway will be able to get if Callaway brings home a back-to-back here at Red Bull Ring. Brenner very slowly closing the gap to Callaway. And Beaver doing everything he can do to catch up to the back of that number 80 machine. That's to Brenner and Beaver. I don't think we've seen battle out on track together this season. Might have saw a bit of a micro lockup from Beaver, but he's gaining ground on Brenner here, getting a little bit better drive out of the corner. Let's see, Brenner trying to catch the draft here of anybody he can up front because Beaver trying to close that gap. We saw somebody off on track. I think that might have been Zachary Bowman. Tactically parking there on the side of the track to allow these drivers through. Callaway's pulled that advantage back to 1.1 second. He's looking to make it a comeback here in Austria. There's Beaver trying to get the draft of Brenner 6/10 off the back of the number 80 machine. I think this could be the battle to watch here. Both drivers have push to pass available. Brenner is on the push to pass. Brenner off the magic button. Beaver in tow. Into the just about the back half of the raceway here at Red Bull Ring. Now you can see Jaden Callaway every now and then in frame. He's not too far ahead of this battle. But being teammates, I don't think Brenner, if he caught up to Callaway, would battle too hard. Especially knowing that Nick Beaver is right behind, trying everything he can to sandwich himself between the two Squid Gang racing-backed machines. Callaway sets his fastest lap of the race on 112.72. Brenner on 112.49, so that push to pass working well for him here. Now, when are we going to see Beaver on the button? Is he going to wait until just a couple laps left to go? Or is he going to try and give himself enough time to make a pass, make it stick? Beaver closing the gap within 0.4 of a second, but Brenner doing a good job keeping him at bay here. Beaver just answered with the fastest lap of the race as well, a 112.28. Now in the sprint, we saw Callaway use up a bunch of push to pass and be the only driver to dip it to the 1 minute 11 second lap times. We've got 5 laps left to go here, round 4 of the Austrian Grand Prix. As it is Callaway, Brenner, Beaver, 1, 2, 3. And the pace is starting to quicken for these drivers. Unfortunately for Aguilar, he's about 11 seconds outside of this, what could be a 3-car battle for the lead. Beaver doing a great job staying right here with Brenner and not using the push to pass to gain any ground, just kind of staying right there with Brenner and kind of picking off the draft off the back of the number 80 machine. I'm very interested to see how this one's going to shape out. Julian Mador had an off-track excursion, losing a couple spots to Antonio Bianchi and Jace Meyer. Let's see what happened to Mador, because right after that, Bianchi was involved in an incident. Oh, I think there was contact there. As there's parts scattered everywhere. I think that was Bianchi's wing, so we're going to stay on this camera. And Bianchi realized what happened, pulls over, and he's going to take a tow and pack it up early here. Now, I was not expecting this. AJ Brenner has caught up to Jaden Calloway. Getting within a quarter of a second. We could very well have a 3-car battle for the lead here. It's Calloway, Brenner, Beaver. All 3 drivers came down pit road for tires within a lap or 2 of each other, so they're going to be very equally matched as far as tire wear. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one's going to shape up. Brenner breathing down the back of Callaway's neck here through turn 1. Beaver looking for any sort of mistake from these 2 teammates to try and interject himself. Just a few laps left here at Red Bull Ring. And a big send from AJ Brenner into 2. Brenner's going to take over the race lead from Callaway. Callaway's got much better drive out of the corner, though. Is he going to be able to answer? No. Brenner's on the push to pass to help hold on to that race lead. So Brenner, barring any mistakes this lap, is going to get a lap led under the belt of that number 80. No team orders at play for Squid Gang Racing. It is every man for himself here. Brenner has built up a half second over Callaway and Beaver. So for Beaver, the view hasn't changed much. Still an SGR driver right in front of him as Brenner clicks off the fastest lap of the race on 112.251. Just a few laps left to go here, and Brenner putting the hammer down still. There we go, starting to recharge the push to pass, but built up a 3/4 of a second advantage over Callaway and Beaver. Callaway just so smooth through that corner. I think Callaway could put on a clinic just on that corner alone. He is hands down been the fastest and smoothest driver to navigate that section, but look at the lap traffic ahead for AJ Brenner. I think that may be Dustin Oberlo's number 42 machine. And where did this come from? Zach Bowman sitting 11th, just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 112.25. Matching Brenner's fastest lap of the race. Far too late for Bowman to put together much to do with it here, but well done to the driver of the 96 machine. Getting some confidence as this run progresses. Now this is going to be interesting. Callaway and Beaver both on the push to pass, and I think they're going to stay on the final 2 laps. Beaver answers with the fastest lap of the race. Nose to tail with Callaway, and Brenner has a lot of traffic up ahead. Something has happened to McAllister. He's down pit road as they have wadded up some race cars just ahead of the race leader. Brenner has to check up to avoid getting to the mix. I think that was Fairchild going off track. Oh, this is going to get dicey. The 2 teammates side by side. Callaway takes back over the race lead. Side by side with his teammate Brenner. Beaver looking for an opening here. The white flag will be out this time by. There's not much time left to make something happen. Big sends for all involved. Brenner holds the race lead. Callaway and Beaver briefly side by side. Callaway takes back over the 2nd place spot. I think Callaway and Beaver are going to stay on the push to pass for the entirety of the next lap. Just going to let that thing wind down. Not expecting any fast laps here as they are elbows out. There's Jacob Bram with the number 6 machine. He's running 15th and he's got a hornet's nest behind him. It's Brenner, Callaway, Beaver, 1, 2, 3. Back and forth. Peterson's battling with Aguilar. Callaway covering the inside line. Beaver looking for an opening, not able to find it. It's the final lap here at Red Bull Ring. Brenner waiting for the push to pass to recharge. Callaway and Beaver. Callaway starting to recharge. Beaver still on the button. And a mistake from Brenner. Brenner pushes wide. Callaway takes over the race lead. Beaver up into second. Brenner's going to try and fire back at the inside line, but look at Nick Beaver side by side with Callaway for the race lead. The elbows are out. Beaver still has push to pass available. Beaver takes over the race lead. Callaway looking for any opening he can find. Beaver trying to fend off 2 teammates right behind. They come into the final corner here at Red Bull Ring. Is it going to be? What a finish! It is going to be Nick Beaver, AJ Brenner, Jaden Callaway, the top 3. And one of the best League Zero finishes I have ever called here. My goodness, what a race that was. So Nick Beaver, I think that might be his first career win. We're going to check on that. As we wait to get these drivers up here to victory lane. Now, apparently Beaver has picked up 5 wins over the course of the years. So we'll at least say, hey, first win of the season. As I try and catch my breath here, get these drivers up here to victory lane. We're going to start things off with Jaden Callaway, the number 1 machine. Jaden, I'm trying to catch my breath up here in the booth. That might be the wildest finish I think I've ever called.
Yeah, it was a crazy one. We were all super close, and it was a lot of fun. And it was wild. I think we changed positions like 3 times in 1 lap. So it was a fun one. Definitely crazy.
Now, Jaden, I know you always want to come out here and get the win, trying to make the back-to-back, but as a racer, surely you can kind of tip your hat, look at that one and go, man, that was a ton of fun. I'm glad that ended up the way it did.
Yeah, definitely. On one hand, I wanted to get the win for sure, but on the other hand, it was definitely a great way to finish the race. So congrats to Nick. He did great.
Man, what a show you guys put on. It's still a huge points tonight for you in that number 1 machine as well. The top spot in the sprint, a podium in the feature, gaining ground on Aguilar. I mean, this is the momentum you need. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% correct. It was a great night. Definitely a good recovery from the past 2 weeks. And now we just have to keep the momentum rolling.
Well, Jaden, looking forward to it. If anybody can do it, you can. Congrats again. Back-to-back podiums, a big win, a good points night. And, man, what a fantastic show you guys put on.
Yep, it was awesome. Really happy with that one.
And, Jaden, I almost forgot. I'm out of my mind here. Who do you want to give a shout-out to that helped bring home the 3rd for you?
Yeah, as always, my friends and family who watch and support. I want to give a shout-out to you and the guys at Team Goon Squad for doing great with the broadcast. I'm going to shout out my team, Squid Gang Racing, and my teammates, AJ and Fabian. And I'm going to congratulate Nick for the win tonight. He had an awesome race.
Awesome. Jaden, well said. Congratulations, buddy, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Thanks, James.
That was Jaden Callaway bringing it home. And 3rd up next, Mr. AJ Brenner, the number 80 machine. AJ, we were wondering about 5 laps towards the end of that race if team orders were in play, and we could very quickly tell that wasn't going to happen. I mean, you, Callaway, Beaver, that was probably the best show I've ever seen here in open wheel racing on iRacing.
Yeah, that was an awesome race. I mean, shout out to Nick and Jaden there. They were both racing clean and awesome. And, you know, I was up in the front and I choked, tried to lift and coast because I was running out of fuel. So I had about 80 overtake left. I had to turn off just to try to make it through. So I ran out of fuel right on the line. So I ended up working out all right.
Now, AJ, as a racer, how cool is it to look back on those final few laps and realize how close you guys were for the entirety of it? No incidents. I mean, and just great racecraft from all three of you.
It's just really awesome having, that close racing and, everyone around you is going to control their car and, keep the space. So, that was awesome time. That's the kind of racing we hope to get every single time. So it doesn't always happen. So it's an awesome feeling when you get that.
Well, a lot of fun. And it looked like you got turn two a lot more dialed in over the feature event as well. Was that being able to follow the other drivers through there? Because so many drivers have been struggling with that one here tonight.
Yeah, I think I wasn't trail braking enough in the feature or in the sprint, and then the feature I was just kind of braking a little bit more and kind of holding the brake in there, and it just slows you down just enough to get the exit. But in the sprint, I probably lost a half second a lap on that.
Well, AJ, good to see the momentum built back up for you, the number 80 machine. You've got to be pumped, sharing the podium with a teammate. A very hard-fought second, leading some laps here at Red Bull Ring. And before I let you go and unwind from that one, who do you want to give a shout to that helped make second place possible?
I'm just going to give a shout out to Squid Gang Racing, specifically Fabian. He's in the background kind of being a crew chief for us, kind of calling things out and giving us the gaps and whatnot. So that definitely helps a lot. So, yeah, big shout out to the team.
Awesome. AJ, congratulations, buddy. Good to have you back up here, and great job on second tonight.
Thanks, James.
That's Mr. AJ Brenner bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Beaver joined us in the top spot, first time this season, and I think the first one in the Super Formula. Am I correct?
I did get one last season, but definitely first for this season.
Hey, we'll take it.
God.
I mean, Beaver, you're a real-life racer. I've talked to you God knows how many times over the last couple years following podium interviews, but can you remember in recent history with how much of a good race we had in final laps, such as Red Bull Ring tonight?
The only one that I can think of, and I remember it because it was one I ended up winning. But at Road America last season, I was following Ray all the way around Road America the last lap, and he ran out of fuel coming out of the last corner. But as far as racing goes, that wasn't like racing. That was just a really good finish. But this one, oh my God, I can't believe it. This side by side and 3 for the lead on the last lap. It was just insane. It was, oh my God, it was insane.
I mean, yeah, elbows out. You, Brenner, and Callaway, I don't think you were separated by more than 0.3 of a second that last lap. And Nick, I want to point out, I think you kind of finally got that push-to-pass thing figured out.
Yeah, I'll admit, I think AJ was definitely if the fastest or second fastest, if not the fastest. He was pulling me along for sure. But there were times that I would fall out of the draft a little bit, and I think that's when I used it maybe once or twice, but just to stay in touch with him. And if I could stick with him, he was going to catch Jaden, and that ended up being the case. So yeah, I figured out the push to pass a little bit, and I had just enough to get it to the end of the race. Oh my goodness.
I mean, so Nick, one of the things we've already seen drivers talking about post-race was fuel amounts. How close were you in that 87 machine to running out?
I actually had a whole lap left. I knew that at the beginning of the race, I think we were 1 lap short, and starting the race, and so I made it my priority. Try to maintain with the leaders, but also save as much fuel as possible. So at the end of the race, there I still had a lap to go, just enough to do some donuts at the end.
Yeah, I mean, the celebratory donuts must be had, but Beaver, it's so cool to see you win one of these, and man, I think that was probably one of my favorite shows I've called, if not ever, in a long time. So you guys absolutely put on a great show for all the fans across the world. I know you've got a bunch of buddies that are driving, flying to Daytona and watching you on mobile devices, but you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this win possible for you?
First of all, AJ and Jaden, they put on such a great show. They raced so clean, and it was a lot of fun racing with those guys. James, thank you for putting on the show tonight. I'm very excited to go back and watch this. And then all the J2I guys that are in Daytona, hello. I wish I was there, but at this point, I'm glad I'm not. And then a special shout out to Nick Trollman and Kennedy, his fiance, for watching. So, yes, thank you, everyone. Gosh, that was a blast. That was so cool.
Nick, congratulations again, man. A great race. Hope to have you back up here next week. And again, congratulations on a great win and a fantastic show.
All right, thank you so much.
That was Nick Beaver bringing in the top spot. The fireworks were out at Red Bull Ring. Beaver picks up his first win of the season, and he was accompanied by AJ Brenner in second, and the defending champ, Jaden Calloway, sitting in third. On behalf of League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula iRacing League, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Thursday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a good night, everybody.